It's been 6 months since the official release of the PS5, and there's still an insane shortage. This device is still easily one of the most in-demand items in the world currently. I honestly didn't expect the shortage to last this long. The same shortage is going around for a lot of other tech items like graphics cards, etc. In case you didn't know. What's going on, fam? It's your boy Midas, and today I'll be talking about everything I've experienced using the PlayStation 5 for 6 months since its release. First of all, I pre-ordered the digital edition of the console in September. I had a very strong feeling securing one during or after launch was going to be a big issue, and here we are 6 months later. I still can't find another console on Amazon and most other places for that matter. It isn't as hard to find as it used to be, but it's still not readily available. You now have to stalk PS5 restock accounts on Twitter and follow PS5 restock livestream accounts on YouTube just to bag yourself one of these consoles, which is ridiculous to say the least. Okay, back to the console review. Depending on where you are in the world and which console edition you opt for, there are two basic prices. The digital edition costs about $499.99 Canadian dollars, and the disc edition costs $599.99 Canadian dollars. Do not pay inflated prices for these consoles. There are tons of cool features to love and hate about the PS5. If you don't already have one, when deciding which edition to get, just understand that the only difference between the two editions is literally the 4K Blu-ray drive. The 4K Blu-ray drive on the disc edition console tacks on an additional $100 onto the price of the digital edition console. But is it worth forking out the extra dollars? Leave your answer in the comment section down below. I'd like to know. One of the best things about the digital console is the aesthetic in comparison to the disc console, which looks like the 4K drive was just slapped onto the digital design last minute. Almost feels like they didn't plan on making a disc console. Some of you guys are going to give a whole bunch of reasons as to why the disc is better than the digital and vice versa. I'll tell you right now that there's no better console. Just make your decision based on your previous gaming experience. If you're a hoarder of game discs, like to borrow games a lot, buy used games, or do trade-ins with game stores, definitely go for the disc console. If symmetry is important to you, and I mean aesthetics, you don't care for building up a disc collection, you like to buy games and download them instantly, or you've moved on into the digital age, the digital console is calling your name with savings of $100, which they'll probably get back from you somehow, definitely through the games you have to buy down the line. The PS5 launched with a slew of accessories, as we all know, and I initially had bought and thought I'd use all of them. The 5 hyped up accessories for the PS5 are the Pulse 3D headset, the media remote, the PS5 HD camera, the DualSense controller, and the DualSense charging dock. Initially, I fell in love with 3D Tempest audio tech and the Pulse 3D headset in combination. That was until I used it for a few days and figured it wasn't for me in terms of the quality of the material, but I maintain that it's very well priced for what it offers. I quickly moved on to the Arctis SteelSeries 7P. Now, I may be biased, but this is probably one of the best gaming headsets I've ever used. The immersion you get from this is insane. It rests very comfortably around my head while playing games, and I forget it's there most of the time. It comes in black and white colors depending on your preference. Without a doubt, it's one of the best for the PS5 out currently and complements the new 3D Tempest audio feature very well. Try playing some horror or shooter games with 3D audio and you'll see how seriously lifelike things can get for you. It can get really serious, trust me on that. The media remote is probably the least bought and used accessory to release with the console. I personally use it for maybe a day and it was sent back. I certainly have not missed having it once. To me, it's just a waste of money. I can do the same things with the controller. The media remote might make it a tiny bit easier, but it's not worth it unless you're a collector looking to get the whole setup. The DualSense charging dock is another must-have, especially if you have multiple controllers. I was worried it wouldn't get much use since I'm so used to charging my controllers via cable on the PS4. 6 months after using the DualSense charging dock to charge my controllers, and I've been happier for it. It makes the whole process of getting into and getting out of gameplay quick and easy. All you have to do is power it and just set your controller on it. It'll click in and the orange charging indicator light comes on. It's such a smooth process. I love it. The HD camera works, it works okay. I used it for maybe a day or two and had it returned as well. It's a good budget camera if you plan on streaming and sharing your gameplay while displaying yourself on the screen at the same time. This only works well when used directly with the console. If you don't plan on ever streaming, you might as well skip this. If you do, if you have more money to spend on a better setup, then still skip this. If you want something that looks good and can get you streaming with the least amount of setup and gear, then you might as well go for this one right here. Finally, my favorite accessory, the DualSense controller. The new features that were announced for this made this the most hyped up accessory for any console that I've ever seen. The DualSense controller is an upgrade from the DualShock controller of the PS4. There are a few major differences between the two versions. Some of the most notable ones are the addition of features like adaptive triggers to the L2 and R2 buttons, which offer different levels of resistance while playing. Improved haptic feedback, or improved rumble, whichever one you want to call it, allow you to feel the effects of different surfaces, whether it's resistance or simply a bouncy sensation. One of the best ways to test out all the controller features is by playing Astro's Playroom. I mean, the game was designed to utilize all the controller features. The onboard mic is another addition that has caused mixed feelings. It's always on by default, which to me is kind of off-putting. It should be off and then I turn it on when needed, not the other way around. I have 2 of these controllers, so I never run out of battery. They're definitely one of my favorite new additions to the PS5. Customizing the PS5 is a lot easier than the PS4, since now you can take off the casings easily. It's so easy to take off the casings on the controller for easy cleaning as well as customization. Customizing the PS5 is a lot easier than the PS4. There's been a lot of customization videos going around for the PS5. I've even done some minor customization to my controller's trim shells. I just think keeping the original design is so boring and basic. I also ordered some dark plates from D-Brand for customization, but I'm still waiting on them to arrive. Once they do, I'm putting the OG plates in storage and rocking some dark plates instead. How many of you guys have done any kind of customization to your consoles or controllers? If you have, comment what you did down below. Arguably the most anticipated thing about the PS5 was the new SSD, which ultimately made the console very fast. PS5 games have all but ditched load times, and even PS4 games optimized for the PS5 installed directly on the console load very quickly. It's a joy to experience, especially coming from a slower console running on a regular HDD drive. The SSD is fast and that's all well and good, but there's a catch. Storage space is extremely limited on the console. There's only about 667 gigabytes of usable storage on board, which isn't a lot since game updates alone can be as large as 40 gigabytes. PS4 games can be moved to and played directly off an external HDD or SSD drive, thankfully. So if you use a HDD drive, it's going to be slower. If you use a SSD drive, it's going to be as fast as the onboard SSD. Also, PlayStation has recently released their first big update for the PS5, allowing for the transfer of PS5 games directly to external storage. The problem with that update is it doesn't let you play directly off the hard drive. You have to copy back and forth, which is better than nothing, but still doesn't solve the storage issue. PlayStation has also mentioned that they plan on giving users access to expandable storage on board the console, and that should be available sometime this summer. Let's hope and pray that's true, to be honest with you. At launch, there weren't nearly enough games available for the PS5, so I quickly played through all the types of games I enjoy, and now I'm mostly playing PS4 games on the console, waiting patiently for better games to be released. It's still a fairly new console, and in a year or 2 years, there's going to be lots more to play, and the games are just going to get better. PS4 games optimized for the PS5 look better and play better most of the time. Right now, there isn't a lot of PS5 games, but there's a lot more since release. By this time next year, we'll be seeing some titles I'm really looking forward to, like God of War and the new Harry Potter game, Hogwarts. Until then, there's 25 top PS4 games you can play for free throughout the PS Plus collection, which you automatically get when you get a console and also have a PS Plus membership. After 6 months of using the console, it still has that wow effect on me. I love how smooth gameplay is at high frame rates and also how crisp the 4K gameplay footage looks. Apparently, the console will be able to do 8K at 30 frames per second, but we can't really test that out yet. Right now, 4K at 120 frames per second is what most people want, and to be honest, high frame rates should only matter to you if you're playing fast-paced games like COD or Fortnite. Otherwise, you shouldn't even care too much about it. Either ways, make sure you use a HDMI 2.1 capable TV and a cable to make sure you're able to get 4K at 120 frames per second. So everything in the connection has to be HDMI 2.1. I've tested different 4K TVs and 4K monitors with the console, and they all serve different budget levels. The best one I've come across is the LG CX OLED. It's also the most pricey one. It's probably the best OLED you can get for the PS5 now for the price, especially since they've released a newer version, the C1. LG is planning on releasing a 42-inch model at a lower price point, which will be huge for a lot of people. I currently use the Sony X900H made for the PS5, and I've had no issues with it, well, except for the missing update for VRR, etc. But we're still expecting that to happen. Let's talk about some common issues that have been experienced with the console. I've heard about people having issues with their console. Some dread rest mode, saying it bricks the console. Others have mentioned hearing strange noises frequently. I've had my console go into rest mode every day since I've had it, so I don't know about that when it comes to rest mode. If you have a disc edition console, don't be surprised to hear moving parts within the console. My digital console has had all but 2 instances I couldn't explain. The first one was a random noise that I heard about 4 months ago and haven't heard it ever since. The second was a random error causing the console to shut off aggressively, but that also hasn't happened since the first time. If you've come across any other issues, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know. Let's talk about it. Okay, now that we've talked about the console, the real question is, should you buy one right now? Well, if you can actually find one and can afford it, then yes, absolutely, because I see no reason why you shouldn't. You can continue playing your PS4 games on it and begin playing PS5 games as well as experiencing all the cool new features that comes with the PS5. If you can't find one or keep coming across overpriced consoles, scalpers, and the likes, I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. There isn't a lot of games on the console as of yet, as I said earlier. So that's all I've got for you guys in this review, my 6-month review of the digital PS5 console. I hope this was useful to some of you guys, or at least enjoyable to watch. Do me a little favor and spam the like button if you enjoyed it. If you're new around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications by clicking the gold bell icon right next to the subscribe button. If you want to see another video from me, check out the video on the screen right now, and I will catch you guys in my next video. It's Midas, and I am out.